is Peach.
Peach. Peach is
Uh-huh.
good.
And it's because of the color of her fur, stuff like that. She's kind of a Velcro dog actually. Once she gets
Mm.
attached to you, it's like she kind of like leans her head on your lap and then you're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't move anymore." Like it's the unsaid rule.
Hey there, welcome back to the As I Understand It podcast, the discussion podcast about careers, young adulthood, and the evolving world we live in. I'm your host, Cameron Geddes,
And I'm your co-host, Graham Nesbitt.
and on today's episode, we welcome my friend from college, Sheryl Ramesh, if you'd like to say hi, Sheryl.
Hello.
And we're also excited to invite on a fellow Rockford Christian graduate like me and Graham, Renee, help me with the name, Renee Chanthal. I screw it up every time. Go ahead, you'll have to say it.
Okay. It is Chanthalangsy.
Thank you. Anyways, but yes, thanks for joining us, Renee. And before we get started on our topics today, we'll just say a few words about ourselves. So I'll go first. My name is Cameron Geddes. I'm 25 and graduated from Hope College in May of 2021 with degrees in economics and global studies. I'm employed as a food service data analyst with the market research firm Circana. I currently live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I enjoy weightlifting and playing video games and such. Graham, would you like to go next?
Yeah, my name, once again, Graham Nesbitt. I graduated in 2021 from Wheaton College with a bachelor's in psychology. Currently work as a counselor in the Rockford region, and in my free time, I enjoy animating and making YouTube content.
Graham, why don't you go first, Renee?
Hi, my name is Renee. I'm 23 and I'm a recent graduate of Northern Illinois University, class of 2022, with a degree in biochemistry and a minor in biology. Um, Currently I'm living in the Bay Area and I am job searching for anything related to genetic assistant training and just genetic assistant work. And I also enjoy making a lot of good food and finding a lot of good food spots in the Bay Area. And yeah.
Very cool, very cool. Well, thank you, Renee. And then you're welcome to introduce yourself next, Cheryl.
Hi, I am Sheryl Ramesh. I am 23 and I graduated from Hope College with a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Engineering with a concentration in biomechanics and a minor in mathematics. I'm currently job hunting. I live in the Detroit area of Michigan and I enjoy weightlifting.
Very cool, very cool. Well, thank you both for being able to join us today, especially Renee with the time change living in California. So we'll just go to our first topic then. First topic of the day. This will really be geared towards Cheryl. How does biomechanical engineering make life better for people? And I'd love if you would share a little bit about your perspective on that, Cheryl.
Well, biomechanical engineering focuses on the innovations and finding solutions to problems regarding mobility. It was mobility and performance and general everyday use.
Hmm.
And so I think that biomedical engineering would be great for just like not only finding solutions, but just improving on your performance in that
Hmm.
area. I think that like biomedical engineers would be well equipped with developing products such as prosthetics to help with knee replacements or foot replacements of that sort, because they also need to know the structures of the human body.
Mm.
I also think that one aspect of biomechanical engineering would be research. And an example of that would be gait analysis, where you have to determine how exactly humans walk. And so like they may use different interfaces such as motion capture software to to like observe how humans walk, and then they would like take those principles and apply that into making products that would help those with mobility issues be able to walk.
Got it. Yeah, that's good to know. And I apologize. I forgot to introduce our we usually start with stats on each question. So I'll follow up with what Sheryl said with the stat from Indeed.com. Biomechanical engineer helps to develop new technological devices for healthcare professionals to use in the medical industry, such as artificial internal organs or diagnostic testing machines. Biomedical engineers can oversee the manufacturing process of new medical equipment to ensure it's safe, design new biomedical products, and teach technicians and other medical professionals how to use biomedical equipment. A biomedical engineer can also perform technical support for the pieces of biomedical equipment that they design and install. The national average salary is listed at $86,000 a year, a little over that actually. So thanks for giving us some background on that and your perspective having studied it, Sheryl. Renee, I'd love to get your thoughts too, coming from your biochemistry background, if any of that kind of resonates with your work.
Yeah, so biomedical engineering is actually a big part of the lab. And knowing that it's not just part of like the kind of like the prosthetic aspect, but also, as you said, the diagnostic testing machines. So I was actually professionally trained on how to learn how to do the PCR machines. But
Okay.
if you ever had any like questions or like concerns about it, we would always contact the biomedical engineer there, and they would help us do some advanced training on the testing machines. And the importance of like biomedical engineering is very, very like high, as a lot of these are like COVIDs, some of them are for like respiratory diseases and stuff like that. And so it helps um, improve our turnaround time for those in the emergency department. So I always like thought biomedical engineering is super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, thanks for your background on, kind of working with biomedical engineers. Yeah, I think too, the only context that I really have as far as like biomedical engineering is ergonomics and stuff like that. I'm definitely a gadget guy, and I'm like more than happy to get a well-designed product that takes into ergonomics into mind. So like, I don't know if I can show it on camera, but I have this like claw-looking keypad thing. Can I get a little extra length out of that to show it? It's like basically in the shape of your hand, and you use it like keys. So it's pretty cool, and it's very natural to use. And I'm sure that involved a lot of research from, someone with a biomedical engineering background. But I too like this might connect into some of our in the next topic too. But I got a Fitbit recently, and I love this thing, and it's great to have a lot of that back end work having been done about like tracking steps and tracking distance and so on. Yeah, see, Graham's got one too. Like it's kind of everywhere once you get a really solid piece of engineering like that. So, Graham, any thoughts before we go to the next question?
Yeah, quick question, just for either of you, but what kind of sparked interest just in that field in general? What kind of got you into that area?
So what got me interested in biochemistry, because that was my major, I was very interested in understanding genetics. But before understanding genetics, you need to know the basis of biochemistry. In order to get into the field of genetics, I started off with doing a biochemistry major, which has allowed me to not just understand genetics, but also diversify um, my other knowledge on everything else.
Sure.
Very nice.
Yeah. And then how about you, Cheryl?
Well, I was actually interested in learning about the human body and how it works. I've also developed throughout my time before attending Hope College, a passion and desire for mathematics And I thought that like those topics of learning about the human body and mathematics would go well hand in hand with biomedical engineering, because you also get to apply engineering principles to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super cool. So I think we'll jump to the next question. How can understanding biochemistry increase your well-being? So I've got a fact from McGill University. It's really kind of just a description. Biochemistry has become the foundation for understanding all biological processes. It has provided explanations for the causes of many disease in humans, animals, and plants. It can frequently suggest ways by which diseases might be treated or cured. Because biochemistry seeks to unravel the complex chemical reactions that occur in a wide variety of life and forms, it provides the basis for practical advances in medicine, veterinary medicine, agriculture, and biotechnology. It also underlies and includes the exciting new fields of molecular genetics and bioengineering. So, Renee, would you like to talk about kind of your experience and how you think that biochemistry has good ramifications for people at large?
Yeah, so in my undergraduate, I did a little bit of research under the biochemistry professor that we have over here. So the main goal for us this semester, or that semester, was to kind of use um, our skills of like micropipetting and other things like that to find out how to attach a kind of a marker onto a certain molecule.
Mm,
In order to do that, we would have to try finding whatever fits. And in order for us to know whether a molecule is present or not, we would attach that tag, and that tag would actually glow. Um, so we have different fluorescent proteins, but we've tried all different types of colors. We've tried green, we've tried blue. I'm sure we also did red, which kind of turns out to be pink if it's a little dilute. Um, but allowing us to visually just see it instead of like most things like you can't really see it, it's kind of clear. Using those fluorescent proteins is also a part of how the machine that I was talking about earlier identifies a lot of different types of diseases like COVID,
mm,
RSV, and flu A, flu B, and other things of that sort. So I do believe that it's a very important aspect into your well-being because it helps with diagnostics. But on the other end, we also have the computational chemistry process where you actually get to zoom all the way into the molecules and do kind of like a virtual, like 3D presentation of it. And that helps you actually do a little bit of bioengineering in the aspect of, for example, I did another research in medicinal chemistry. Um, there's this um, there's this enzyme called acetyl A CoA synthetase. Sorry, it's been a
it's
while.
okay. We weren't going to correct you. Graham and I weren't, at least.
Acetyl-CoA synthetase. It's supposed to be an enzyme that helps speed up the reactions of growth. Um, but if we kind of like find that key that unlocks it to make it go faster, we can also find a way to inhibit it. And
Mm,
that was the basis of my research as we were trying to prevent the growth of Alzheimer's.
mm,
So we were going to bioengineer a molecule that would fit the keyhole, but also break the handle. So then it would never
I
be able
see.
to grow. So that's kind of like a SparkNotes version of what I had to learn in my undergraduate.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for going through that. I was going to say, when you were talking about the glowing molecule, I'm not sure if this is related, but I've seen on the internet things of where they're trying to cure a disease in cats and they will like include a glowing chemical onto it so that when it's present in the cats and they know it worked, the cats will like visibly like be like neon looking, like very spooky, but also very fascinating. Sheryl, I don't know if you have anything to add. Again, I know you talked about prosthetics and we've talked about some like wearable technology and stuff, but feel free to bring it into how your biomedical engineering is beneficial as well.
I think that like a lot of what biomedical engineers do, I think it does like help bridge with like the research from biochemistry to like the research in developing these products. I also think that biochemistry was great for explaining the how and why of biological processes, while biomedical engineers just create and innovate solutions and products.
Yeah, I think that's a good point of like having both sides of it, kind of the foundational understanding of how the body works, and then engineering different solutions or technologies on top of that to augment human living is great. So, Graham, I don't know if you've got any thoughts, and we can jump to our next question.
Yeah, just kind of the bioengineering, just kind of the in addition to that, more recent topics, it's more in a somewhat same area, like Neuralink, things like that, just things that are enhancing and restoring human mobility. I find greatly interesting. So it's a fantastic field.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. A lot of really fascinating like technology, like consumer technologies and whatnot that have had a long tenure in development in terms of research and so on. So I guess we can end with our next question, and this is more of like a social one. How can STEM grads and non-STEM grads relate to each other? So just again, for context, so I studied econ, Graham studied psychology, so he's, probably a little closer to the STEM side of things. But I've got a stat here from census.gov. It's a little lengthy. It says majoring in science, technology, engineering, and math does not guarantee a job in STEM occupation, but it typically means a bump in pay. Among the 50 million employed college grads aged 25 to 64 in 2019, 37% recorded a bachelor's degree in science or engineering, but only 14% worked in a STEM occupation, according to Census Bureau's 2019 one-year estimates. This translates into less than a third, 28% of STEM educated workers actually working in a STEM job. STEM workers also who majored in STEM field in college typically made higher salaries than those who did not. On average, 101,100 versus 87,600. The path to STEM jobs for non-STEM majors, however, was narrow. Only a few STEM-related majors, 7%, and non-STEM majors, 6%, ultimately ended in STEM occupations. So kind of some interesting dualities there of if you're working in these STEM fields in education, it might not land you necessarily a position in STEM, but you're also generally going to have very high returns on your investment. And then conversely, if you don't start in STEM, it can be difficult to break into that field. So just some interesting thoughts too. And I know from kind of I guess I'll really go first and talk about my experience is that working in market research, we have a ton of different departments and fields. We have really any corporate job, you're going to have a mix of kind of very left brain people and very right brain people, speaking in because fanciful terms. A lot of people in like marketing, even people who are doing promotion, and a lot of people working in like HR and PR. Very sales and commercial people are very people oriented and in that sense. But then we also too have a lot of people who are doing our development work and data science and information technology that definitely come from a rich heritage of STEM backgrounds. So I've noticed too that at some companies it can be a challenge to align everyone from different departments. And it does have me think of like, how do you take people who work in, might work in a very qualitative field and kind of think more in like interpersonal or more, I guess, traditionally creative backgrounds, and have them work with people who like very numbers based or very like rules and logic oriented, or again, that maybe had very high pressure testing situations in schools to actually like receive their degree because that was, a qualifier for it. And I don't know if I have all the answers, but I've often found that even just getting those departments to actually interact and speak with each other and try to get the personalities aligned too. Sometimes it's more a matter of personalities that people have than actual academic backgrounds. So that's another element to it that I think is really fascinating. I don't know who wants to go next, but those are my thoughts.
Looking on the larger scale of things, people have different talents, people have different interests. I think, in that sense, kind of what differentiates us really brings us together. Everyone has different things that they really care about, different backgrounds, and it allows them to invest their time and energy into an area that they enjoy and that benefits others, something that interests them. It's a good thing that we have people who are more interested in STEM, more people who are interested in other side of things, because we really want a diverse population doing a lot of different things that they enjoy. Would be my simple take on that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that kind of having an array of different interests is really helpful to the society. I think like Cheryl, that reminds me of like um, your work in the mathematics and the engineering, but then also like one of your main hobbies is like lifting weights and stuff like that. Like I think having a spread of different interests is a very healthy thing. Do you have anything to follow up with on that question?
Um, so I think that both of them do have to market themselves to different teams and employers or even different departments in such a way that showcases their skills and abilities. I
Mm.
think both STEM and non-STEM professionals do have to do that. I also think that another one would be that um, when communicating with others, like through writing, whether it's formal or informal, it still the writing still has to like communicate like its message in a well thought out manner,
Mhm.
as well as in a concise manner. And for STEM's majors or for STEM professionals, it may be in a more technical sense, while for non-STEM, it may not be as technical. Um, Also, I think that when it comes to teams or managing projects, each team has to, I think it's important for like all of them to figure out like how to organize the team and how to successfully execute.
Yeah, that's a good. I like what you said about structuring a team and really marketing your skill sets. I think um, any successful organization that has like cross-departmental collaboration like that, yeah, you have to have your team structured really well, and then it's to the betterment of the individuals on the team, like personally and professionally, to have solid marketing skills and really portray their knowledge effectively. I think that can be a barrier for, people of all backgrounds. So, um, Renee, any other thoughts to add before we close out?
Um, yeah, I would like to say that I agree with you guys how it doesn't take just one type of person to run an entire company. Um, I do believe that there are people in multiple departments, especially in a hospital. There are people who directly handle patients, and there are people who are just in the lab, but there are also people running other things behind the scenes, like troubleshooting and IT, and also just kind of like controlling, like, for example, if there was an aggressive patient, we would also have to have like a response team for that. Um, Overall, just in a hospital alone, there's many different types of jobs, even just like food. Just there's a cafeteria in the food. They always have to make sure it's nutritional, well balanced, and like catering to the patient's needs. Um, and then in another aspect, STEM grads and non-STEM grads, I believe that actually pretty much I feel like almost everything requires at least a little bit of STEM. So I could also talk about how some of the people in my graduating class actually have a lot more different jobs than me. But they all are kind of rooted in STEM. So for me, I went straight to working in a hospital, but some other people went over to research. But then another friend of mine also went into the food sciences area and worked for Kikkoman, the soy sauce
Yeah.
brand. Um, and another one of my friends, she was a college athlete as well, so she went into sports medicine, helping formulate like different drinks for that or like supplements. And then another one of my friends also went into cosmetic science. And so she helped formulate like different makeup and stuff like that because she's always like loved like, working at Ulta and then recommending certain things. But she did kind of like want to know like, how do you formulate something that is safe for us and then also safe for like the environment? And she was very dead set on finding something that's like cruelty free, but then also like not too like wasteful in that it causes a larger carbon footprint, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. It sounds like a lot of hoops to jump through, a lot of challenges, but definitely good that, it's coming from a um like a biochemistry background to be able to organize how to tackle each of those individually. But yeah, no, I think it's all good comments and definitely insightful for people, I think, in any background to really understand the kind of some of the academic distinctions and learn how to cut through that and still form like good relationships and um, good careers out of it. So I think that's all we've got for today. I want to thank Renee and Sheryl for coming on and setting some time out to hang out with us on the podcast. You can find today's episode on YouTube or Apple Podcasts, whichever you prefer. And we'll see you back in about 2 weeks with some new guests. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.